Hello everybody, so I've been a busy boy recently. I've bought a lot of things and I've seen a lot of things and I've done a lot of things. So I want to share with you what I think will be the best things for you to see, do and buy in June. I've actually got quite a big list here. I'm going to start with fashion because that's my biggest thing on the list. And actually, we suddenly have a summer. We've had a very long spring which really didn't do anything, and there was like a really slow, boring transition between winter and spring. And it didn't really feel like much, but now the sun is shining, so I've got lots to talk about. Okay, so before we talk about anything specific, I have sort of a base look that I'm really into at the moment. I've liked this look for a long time, but fully committed this season. It's that kind of 50s look where you tuck your t-shirt in and you wear trousers. I wear jeans all the time and I actually feel like a bit of a change. And I went the other day and bought about 3 or 4 pairs of trousers and I've put my jeans in a separate area of my wardrobe now to convince myself not to wear them so much because they're just too easy. So I'm now kind of going for some nice fitted trousers, cropped at the ankle or turned up with either a plain white t-shirt or not necessarily a white t-shirt, a plain t-shirt or a t-shirt with some sort of pattern or design or graphic on it. From there, I then build a look around it. For example, my trainer of choice at the moment is Converse Jack Purcell. I haven't worn these ones yet, as you can see, they're box fresh, but this is my trainer of choice every summer. It's so simple, so easy, different from your regular Converse, and they're super summery. They come in a variety of different colours and stuff. These ones are leather, but actually, the reason I haven't worn them yet is because your feet get quite sweaty in leather, and I've got canvas ones that I'm still kind of working through, so maybe when the canvas ones are dead, I'll bring these out. But again, they're super crisp, super fresh, get a bit of ankle out, and they're great. I have 2 jumpers to talk about. This one here is from Coach, and have you ever seen a more perfect jumper for me? It's really nerdy, but also super fashionable and super cool. It's got a space rocket on it, but Coach has been now for about 3 seasons my favourite brand out there. It's just so cool, and this is like their NASA collection, so they've got like a bunch of NASA-y themed things, and I just think a space rocket on a jumper for me is totally perfect. The other thing, I can't actually show you because it's in the wash because I spilt food down it, but it's just a pink jumper. It's from Reese. There's actually a picture of me wearing it on my Instagram. I'll pop that up there. I was styled in a pink jumper for a shoot recently, and I never thought I'd really wear pink. Not that I'm against it, I just didn't think it was my colour. And actually, it looks really good on me, so I'm embracing pink. And actually, pink is also a really good colour this season. If you go on any website that sells men's clothes, there should be a lot of pink out there because it's popular right now. And I have another Coach item here. This is what I think is the coolest souvenir jacket in the world. It's by the Coach and Gary Baseman collaboration. It's super cool, it's got a skull on the back, it's kind of khaki and black, but also it's reversible. So if you wear it this way around, you've got that sort of Ryan Gosling in Drive vibe. So it's 2 jackets in one, and I absolutely adore it. You may remember I filmed a video maybe 2 months ago now, and I wore a different version of this. They lent me that one, and I actually went and bought this one because I adore it so much. I think now I should move on to my favourite gadget at the moment, and that is this bad boy. This is my new vlogging camera. So I go through quite a lot of cameras, and I kind of spend a lot of money on things that then break quite quickly. So what I decided to do is go hard and get an expensive camera and treat it like royalty. So I have these little doodahs on the top here, which are called micro muffs, which basically stop wind noise because the microphones are on top here and the wind kind of gets in and bothers me. It's got a flip screen. I've got a little strap for it, and also put it on a tiny tripod. So it's bigger now, but it's safe and protected. This is the Sony RX100 5V, and it's really, really good. It's about £1,000, so it's not cheap for a camera that you carry around like this, but because I make content all the time, I figured that I'm going to just invest and kind of look after it. They do other versions of this, so there's the RX100, the RX100 2, 3, 4 and 5, and they kind of escalate in price as they go. I have yet to find a fault with this camera, apart from the wind noise, which is why I got those things. My favourite fragrance by a long way at the moment is this. This is Tom Ford, and it's called Oud Mineral. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of oud fragrances mostly. They tend to be quite heavy for me, and they're quite woody, and I just find them a bit intense and a bit dark, maybe deep, but this one is Oud Mineral. So the mineral fragrance for me smells like rain, when you kind of have a nice cleansing rain and you get that sort of kind of clean scent. So combined, it's lovely, and actually I've worn this quite a lot already, and every time I've worn it I've had a compliment from someone different, not just the same person every time, and it's lovely. It is kind of, it's quite deep, I suppose, but also really lifted by the mineral fragrance. I like it a lot. I'm not very good at describing smells though, but it's really good. On the theme of looking good and smelling good and all that stuff, I have two grooming things to talk about. I'll start with this one because it's also Tom Ford. This is just called For Men Intensive Purifying Mud Mask. Now, I love a good mud mask. What I don't love is how they crumble on your face when you've had them on for a while. And they're really hard to get off. This one, though, doesn't seem to crumble. Actually, what it does, it's quite clever. It turns light grey as it dries, and you know that's when you know to take it off, but it only goes light grey on the areas that it's done its work on, so you have to wait for the entire thing to go light grey. So for example, I get quite oily and quite sort of messy and pory around my nose here. So that area took a much longer to go light grey and tell me to wash it off. So it's quite intelligent in that you know the right length of time to leave it on for. Most masks just say, leave on for 10 minutes and then wash off. But yeah, it seemed very clever, did a really good job. And actually, after I took it off, didn't leave my face dehydrated. Often clay masks, what they do is they sort of absorb everything, so they absorb all the impurities, but also all the moisture from your face too. And I feel like I need to then moisturise loads. But this one didn't. It was actually really nice. Yeah, good. Like it. And then there's this guy. This is by Clinique for Men, and it's called Maximum Hydrator Activated Water Gel Concentrate. So, I've been using this now for probably about a fortnight, and as you can see, it's still totally full. That's because you really don't need much, like literally 1 or 2 pumps, and it goes a very long way. It's got a very lightweight, gel, watery consistency. Now typically, they are not hydrating enough for me. When I have something that I put on my hand and it feels a bit kind of runny, I know that I'm going to need a lot of it to actually get the job done. But this one is packed full of hydration. It's got little tiny balls in there, which I don't know the science of, but I'm assuming they explode or something and fill your face full of liquid. But yeah, a little goes a long way. And it does a very good job. I'm powering through this. I'm trying to get through everything really quickly because I've got a lot to talk about and I feel like I'm doing quite well. Books! I have 3 books to talk about. The first one is something I've been reading for a while now and I'm really struggling to get through it. Not because I don't like it, just because I haven't had much time, but it is bloody brilliant. This is by Bill Bryson and it's called A Short History of Nearly Everything. Now if you're a nerd like me, you have to read this. Basically goes through every area of science and tells you how that area came about and prominent people in that area, and actually you learn things like Einstein, for example, obviously a genius, but also sort of failed quite a few exams and maybe wasn't quite as intelligent in other areas, but because he's Einstein, people just think he was, you know, an absolute genius in everything. So it's very fascinating. I've learned a lot, and in fact, how often do you fold over whole chapters in a book because you want to read them again and learn all the information again? I've done that here already. And I just find everything really fascinating. The next book is by Robert McKee and it's called Story. Now this is kind of specific to me and it might not resonate with you. I love film and I've mentioned a few times now that I want to start writing a film, and in fact I've got a notebook here which has my list of things to talk about in this video and then it's full of film stuff. Obviously I don't know how to write a film, so I went on a course by Robert McKee, who's like, he's what's called a script doctor, and basically goes through films and helps them be better, and he's an absolute genius. So I went on his course, it was 4 days long, and I learned a lot, and now feel like I'm ready-ish to start putting pen to paper and come up with something brilliant. This is his book that accompanies it, and it's just really helpful if you are thinking about writing, not necessarily a film. It's called Story because essentially it's great for big screen, small screen, theatre, novels, whatever you want. Totally worth reading because it helps you learn how actually the mechanics of things work. Really good. And here's another book that I haven't actually read yet, but I know I'm going to love. This is by Neil Gaiman. I like most of Neil Gaiman. In fact, everything I've read of Neil Gaiman I really like. He's great at sort of adult fantasy and he's quite dark and twisted, and so am I. So I love it. This one's called Norse Mythology, and reading the back, it basically says that it goes through the whole Norse mythology thing, you know, Thor and Odin and all that stuff, but in the Neil Gaiman kind of way, so I'm very excited. Speaking of Neil Gaiman, my favourite TV show at the minute is called American Gods. American Gods is a Neil Gaiman book, and it's one of my favourite books I've ever read. And actually, I only read it sort of 6 months ago, and as soon as I finished reading it, Amazon then announced that there's a TV show called American Gods that started maybe 6 weeks ago, and it's bloody brilliant. It's quite dark, it's quite gory, it's quite confusing if you haven't read the book, because Tarn's watching it along with me, she hasn't read it. So there's quite a lot to take in, but brilliant. It's shot amazingly, it looks brilliant, the acting's terrific, and actually the main guy, I forget his name now, I hadn't seen him in anything for a long time, but I knew I recognised him, and I googled him, and he's from Hollyoaks, from like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. He's done nothing since of any consequence, and obviously been grafting in LA, trying to sort of find the right role and get scouted and picked and, you know, get cast, and he's done it in something bloody brilliant, so good job to that guy. Totally worth watching though. It's kind of, it's fantasy, but it's also really modern and just fantastic. Another show I'll mention really briefly is Billions. It's on season 2 now, so you probably should know it. It's terrific. It's tense and also fascinating. It's about a guy who played by Damian Lewis, who I met the other day actually, really nice. I actually met him whilst walking into a lift and got stuck between the lift door and the door frame as it closed on me, so embarrassing. Anyway, he plays like a total billionaire, and he is under investigation from the justice people? I'm not sure what you call them, but there's like an American term that I forget, but justice people are investigating him, and it's like a story of cat and mouse and who's winning and playing games with each other. It's really good. Okay. And finally, we have film. There's 2 films I want to talk about. The first one is Alien Covenant, which I loved. I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise, and this one really ties Prometheus, which is a prequel, and Alien together. There's still a lot that has to happen, but I think there's a few more films in the pipeline. I just thought it was really, really great. Gory, terrific, sort of tense, but yeah, it kind of felt like a Prometheus film to start with, it's all explorational, and then turned out as an Alien film where it's all about survival, so I liked it a lot. And the final film is King Arthur, which has actually been slated by a lot of the reviews I've read. I don't know whether this is the case or not, but I feel like it's because it was reviewed first by an American audience, and for me it's a very British film. It has like a lot of British sense of humour. It's a Guy Ritchie film, and Guy Ritchie for me does some of the best stuff. He did Man from U.N.C.L.E., Snatch, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, some of my favourite films ever, and it has that vibe about it, which I think is quite British. It's quite sarcastic and stuff, and maybe just didn't quite translate that well. For the Brits out there, if you like Guy Ritchie stuff, don't be put off by the reviews. I really, really enjoyed it. Okay, I feel like I'm about to have an aneurysm because I've talked so much, so quickly about all this stuff, but I had a lot to share with you, so I hope you liked it, and I'll see you very, very soon. Goodbye.